Hello, my name is Hadassah Judy Shillett Albert. I'm doing Chapter 12, Gendered Power and Violence. I'm going to be talking about sexual assault. Now, sexual assault is actually activity that actually occurs without consent. This happens, one person is at least involved, and the perpetrator actually can be of any sex, gender, or sexual identity, and they target any wide range of people, different ages, anyone, any place, and time. Now, sexual assault actually affects millions of people in the United States each year, but our youth remain at the highest risk of sexual assault. Sexual assault refers to sexual abuse, sexual assault, and also rape. Now, young adults between the ages of 18 and 34 are at the highest risk. They represent 54% of sexual assault cases. Now, one out of six women fall victim of either completed or attempted sexual assault in their lifetime. Now, 55% of assaults occur near the victim's house. 50% of the assault actually happens in the victim's house where they're doing activities or they're actually sleeping. Now, another 30% actually reported traveling back and forth to work or to school when the assault happened. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about is rape. Now, rape is a form of sexual assault, and it happens without consent or permission. It can be oral, anal, or vaginal penetration by an object or body part. There are different forms of rape. There is date rape, which happens very often when the person will use drugs such as GHB or other drugs, and they put it in the drink. They have no color, no smell, or taste, so one doesn't know if the drug has been slipped into the drink. Often the person becomes confused and can pass out, which actually makes them a target for rape. The other one I want to talk about is actually campus rape or college rape. These rapes happen on college campuses and university. This is due to rape culture, which has certain attitudes, beliefs, and practices. Sad part is that the behavior is actually often encouraged and normalized. Now there's marital rape, and which happens when a woman actually refuses to give her husband sex. That could lead to marital rape. Now, years ago, this was not a crime, but it is now. Now, if a person is involved with a partner, it is actually very challenging to press charges against them, because often if there's kids involved, they actually are concerned about the children and they don't want to go forward. And also, if they are financially dependent on the abuser, they will feel trapped. The effects of rape can lead to depression, suicidal thoughts, and drug use. 94% of women experience PTSD after the rape, and 30% will continue experiencing PTSD 9 months after being raped. Now, number 2 is sexual assault of boys and young men. Sexual assault also can happen to boys and young men. We hear about it more of this on television and reading about it in newspaper. There are more and more cases that actually are talking about this. Rape, abuse, and incest, and they are nationally very there. Now, 1 in 50% out of boys actually were sexually assaulted. They are sexually assaulted by priests, teachers, rabbis, and we are hearing about it a lot more about these cases on the news and newspapers. There's also a case where actually a rabbi at my son's school was actually arrested because on child pornography charges, and he got caught. Another case actually was with some of the rabbis and teachers at Yeshiva University in the high school and university, and they got tired and they got thrown out and they got caught, and the boys didn't want to come forward with it, but they finally did. Now, the reason why is that boys don't want to actually come forward is because they are taught to be men, and also they actually don't want to mention about it, and they have a tendency to freeze their emotions when it comes to sexual abuse. And they are scared of what people are going to think about them. Now, the third thing is perpetrators. The perpetrators usually know the person and who they want to target. A study was actually done was done, that 8 out of 10 people actually knew the person that actually would rape them, and therefore making them a target for date rape. And targeting them. The perpetrator also seems to blame the victim as, to be sexually assaulted because of what they wore and how they behave. They often talk about them provoking them to sexually assault them. And they're like, oh, you know what? It's their fault. They made me do it. So it deserves them right. Now, another population that is actually assaulted are elderly people, and they are targeted. They are targeted by caregivers, adult children, and staff at nursing homes, and there's evidence, which could be either on how they behave and physical evidence, and this is very, very sad. Now, the last part I'm going to talk about is children. Children and young adults are targeted for sexual assault. They are targeted for child pornography or sex trafficking, where one can be put to work as prostitutes by pimps that target them. And some are actually working as young as age 13 or 14 years old. They can even target boys too. Now, these perpetrators will manage to do anything and everything to try to target young kids or try to target young adolescents. And they do it from social media, chat rooms, and the good old shopping malls, and they find their victims. Hopefully we could stop this soon, and this is my presentation. Thank you.